So today we're going to talk about the 10 most popular things that Americans eat on a regular basis. First one is soda drinks, okay? An average American consumes 44.7 gallons of this liquid carbonated syrupy sugar every single year. That is 374 pounds. So you're not just dealing with sugar, you're dealing with phosphoric acid, you're dealing with caffeine, all sorts of chemicals. Next one, bread. An average American consumes 53 pounds of bread per year. So bread contains not only the refined carbohydrates that raise insulin, but bread also contains gluten. And gluten can really tear up your intestine and create all sorts of digestive problems. Not to mention cognitive issues as well. There's a lot of other things in bread. There's dough softeners. There's hidden sodium, MSG. And of course, when you combine bread with protein, as in meat, as in a sandwich, and you eat that together, you get a bit of what's called glycation. Glycation is a term to describe combining a carbohydrate with a protein or a carbohydrate and fat, and you heat it up. Now, when you're eating the food, you're actually raising the temperature, and that can develop a glycated process whereby your blood becomes very, very sticky. I mean, if you think about like a diabetic, okay, they have high blood sugar. The high blood sugar combines with the protein in the blood, hemoglobin. So that protein and sugar combine. So if the sugar's too high, it gets stuck in the protein, and that is a test called A1C, which is an average of your blood sugars for 3 months. And they have a whole rating scale that you can evaluate if your sugars are okay or not. The numbers go up if you have high sugar, and they'll come down if you have low sugar. But this is basically measuring the glycation. Burgers. There are over 50 billion burgers sold every single year. That means a lot of people are consuming burgers. Now, I consume burgers without the bun, of course. But when you combine the bread with the meat, you get this thing as well. And of course, not many people eat a burger without ketchup, right? Or they might have fries with that, or they might have a Coke with that right here. So if we combine this, and this, we get a lot of this right here. And we also get an exaggeration of a spike of insulin. And too much insulin will cause visceral fat, which is not very healthy because it's going to go inside the liver, it's going to go around the organs and create a lot of different problems for you. All right, next one is French fries. An average person consumes 49.2 pounds of potato products every single year. And out of this number, an average American consumes 29 pounds of actual fries. So they also consume chips, potatoes, and other forms of potato. There are over 1.5 billion pounds of chips sold in America every single year. So Americans love potato products. Of course, the question is, what are you frying this in? Corn oil, soy oil, which is GMO. Then you have this carb and this fat under high heats. You actually start spiking something called acrylamide, which is carcinogenic. This chemical is created when you combine sugar and amino acids in high temperature. All right, next one is this thing called ice cream, right? So here you have a lot of carb and sugar, and you have the protein, and you have the fat, and it's heated. So you're definitely going to get a lot of glycation, okay? But you're going to get a lot of sugar. And I personally used to consume a lot of ice cream. In fact, I used ice cream to help me sleep at night. It worked for a while, and then it didn't work anymore. And what happened was it created a blood sugar spike, which basically makes you very, very tired and unconscious. You go right out. But about 2 o'clock in the morning, the blood sugars go down because the insulin spikes and it's pushing the blood sugars down. And then I started waking up exactly at 2 a.m. every morning with very severe restless leg syndrome, which basically is a lot of lactic acid in my muscles, which actually comes from eating glucose because glucose can turn into lactic acid in the muscles. And it was miserable. Of course, I would wake up with these serious bags beneath my eyes. I had zero awareness on nutrition at that point. And this was actually 2 years ago. I'm just kidding. That was like in my late 20s. But the average American consumes 23 pounds of ice cream every single year, and about 1.4 billion gallons of ice cream are sold every single year. That's a lot of ice cream. All right, number 6, hot dogs. 20 billion hot dogs are sold every single year. That means a lot of people are eating a lot of hot dogs. And of course, I'm not talking about the grass-fed organic hot dogs. I'm talking about the processed nitrates with MSG and all sorts of additional parts of the cow or pig put into this. I mean, if you actually look at the ingredients of a hot dog, they actually put dextrose in there. Don't ask me why. I think they use it as a filler, but don't quote me on that. And then we get to number 7, pizza. An average person consumes 40 pizzas a year. Over $38 billion is spent on pizza alone. Okay, number 8, Oreo cookies. There are over 2.5 billion packs of Oreo cookies sold every single year. In fact, if you look at the ingredients on an Oreo cookie, it's just different forms of sugar. And then the last ingredient is like chocolate. It's not the last part, which means there's not as much chocolate as you might think, but there sure is a lot of sugar. All right, number 9, chicken nuggets and chicken strips. Well, there are over 2.3 billion servings of chicken nuggets every single year, and 1.5 billion servings of the chicken strips sold every single year. Now, of course, we have the breading and we have the protein, and it's heated. So we're getting glycation. We're getting a spike in insulin. And we're also deep frying in this GMO soy or corn oil, which is very inflammatory. And lastly, number 10, donuts. 25,000 donut shops in the United States alone. Americans buy 10 billion donuts every single year. That's a lot of donuts. Okay, we have a combination of the soy or corn oil, glycation because it's deep fried, acrylamide, and a spike of insulin. So now it's very obvious to see why Americans have insulin resistance and they're overweight and they have all sorts of symptoms related to high levels of insulin, fatty liver, obesity, heart disease, increased risk of stroke, inflammatory conditions, sleep apnea, and the list goes on and on and on. If you haven't seen my video on the toxicity of sugar, you might want to check it out. It's right here. Boom.